Hello and welcome to episode 32 of Her Finance Talk. My name is Sue Diamond and I'm your host, and our goal is to provide our listeners with inspiring and encouraging experiences for sharing the journeys and successes of other women with a variety of topics related to financial empowerment, so you can create the life you want to live. So thank you for joining us today and investing in your financial well-being. Her Finance Talk is brought to you by the Her Finance Club, and our mission is to socialize the idea that it's okay for women to talk about money, because knowledge is power, and when that knowledge helps you become more independent, it translates to empowerment. Women empowering women is a mantra we love to live by, and one that has helped to inspire women for decades. Where would we be without each other? So as we celebrate Women's History Month and International Women's Day, which was last week, I'm reminded of a quote by Emma Watson, the actress and activist. And she said, "I think women are scared of feeling powerful and strong and brave sometimes. There's nothing wrong with being afraid. It's not the absence of fear. It's overcoming it. And sometimes you just have to blast through and have faith." So I believe women have the power to shape our society and bring true gender equality when they can take control of their lives and make decisions for themselves and reach their goals. So it's with this in mind that I'm excited to introduce Coach Panagiota, also known for your short abbreviation as P2. So I think I will stick with that so I don't mispronounce your name at all during our conversation today, P2. So thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Yeah, of course. My name is Greek. It's long and it's difficult, just a riddle for the people that don't speak Greek. Sorry, guys. It's so nice to be here with you, Sue. And thank you for this invitation. And I like very much the subject and the mission you have.
Thank you. And it's a pleasure for me to have you join us. So P2 is going to be delving into how emotions can help us women excel both professionally and personally. So today we're going to explore what feelings mean for us on a personal level, as well as how they can propel us toward success. So with that in mind, let me just do a quick introduction for PT, who is an author. She's also a success coach and a cognitive neuropsychologist. She's an ex-researcher at the National Center of Scientific Research of France, and she's also a certified meditator. And as the founder of Applied Psychology, she coaches professional women to achieve their professional goals without compromising your personal ones. So without further ado, I would love to open up the conversation, P2, and just have you expand on your story, how you got into becoming a neuropsychologist and then transitioning to founding your business of applied psychology.
All right. Super. Well, when I was a kid, we want to go far in the back in the history, which is very important for women to know, especially when your younger audience listens to us, why they want to do something. I realized that something that was a characteristic of me was that I was an introvert. I really knew it. I didn't know the word introvert at that time, but I knew that I was really someone who was observing other people. So I was really triggered by other people's behavior and why they're doing things, very analytic thought. So I searched about what would be the thing that I would like to do. And that led me to study psychology, because also I was really intrigued by the way brain functions. So I had the exams that we have in Greece to enter the university, and I graduated from psychology department of Aristoteles University of Thessaloniki. And then I wanted to do my postgrad, where I really wanted to have a more specialized, be really on neuropsychology, which is actually the interaction of the brain function, and the way brain works, and how that impacts human behavior while we're doing things. And that's how I got my studies in Paris. And then I kept doing research there as a neuroscientist for 7 years. But then I decided that this was not something that it would make me feel I provide impact in the community and my society. For a phase, it was very nice. And then I said that right now I need to have more direct contact with human beings and not just research in an academic term. So then I returned back to Greece and started my own practice as a psychologist. And there I met a lot of clients, many of whom were women. And then I started noticing, after the years of being a psychologist and practicing psychology, that there was a pattern uh, among all those women, that they were trying to, as you said, compromise things. That was really the best verb to use. They were trying to compromise their professional and their personal life, and they were feeling boggled in how to do that. And actually, there was a lot of struggling while doing it, because most of the women, and like you use the quote of Emma Watson, it's really, really to the point, they try to put their potential, squeeze it into the societal stereotypes of now and actually of the past. What women should do because they're expected to do. You know, you should be a homemaker, you should be the basic caregiver of your children, family, elder parents, and so on. And you should not earn more money than your husband. You should not have a better career than your husband. You should have a husband and you should have a family, because things are like that. So I observed a pattern of women feeling that they could not fit in this box. It was too small for them. And this was creating psychosomatic disorders, panic attacks, depression, a lot of different things. And this started intriguing my interest on mostly helping women. And then I decided that that's exactly what my mission I want to be. It's to help women overcome this cliche, these stereotypes, and actually be able to claim exactly what they want, their own professional success and their own personal success, but on their own terms. What is it what you want to do? And you can do it. There are tools, there is technology, and there is a societal advance, and you can do it. We are in the 21st century right now.
Yeah, it's interesting. I had a similar path, but more on the finance side, because my background, I had a master's in social work,
Yes.
but I transitioned over to the money side because I was seeing friends and colleagues, even as they became more successful with their money, there was still this taboo around talking about it, because there was no discussion around it in terms of you want to expand your knowledge, which in turn increases your confidence as well. I tell people all the time, I'm a recovering perfectionist, because that's the thing that shoots you in the butt all the time, right? You know, oh, well, I'll do it when I've achieved this skill, or gone back to school and taken a class. Our own worst enemy, I think. But again, it ties back into society and culture. We've been bombarded all our lives with certain expectations and what we should fall into. So it's hard to ignore those, right?
Yeah, we cannot.
Yeah.
And they create negative thoughts or processes in our minds sometimes.
Right. I loved your title for one of your videos, The Secret Superpower of Emotions. And why is it important for us to understand our emotions and then how it can benefit us as well in terms
Yeah.
of success, both on a personal and professional level?
Well, emotions are one side of a two-side idea of emotion and motivation. Imagine that we say all the time in coaching, in finances, in sports, in everything we want to build, that you need to have a motivation to do things, even in crime research, which is the motivation, what is the motive, what is the thing that makes us move towards an end. And
Right.
that's actually what is the emotion. Motion at the same time declares that thing. I want to go from point A to point B and use a certain force power to do so. Emotion tells us exactly that thing, that there is something in our environment, in our psychological or physical environment, an idea or a situation that we want to drive ourselves towards it or far away from it. That means towards it is a positive emotion, something I really like. I
Right.
enjoyed this company of these people, and I want to go again, spend beautiful moments and experiences with those people, positive emotions. And I feel these people are a toxic company and I want to go away from them, negative emotions. So
Right.
emotions are our compass, that they tell us, they dictate to us what is good, profitable, beneficial for us, our well-being, and back to the basics, our survival. And it's super important to be really attentive of them. And we need to understand the message that they send to us. Well, it's obvious, okay? So if there is a stop in the street and the stop tells you stop because there might be a car and you might have an accident, then you have the emotion of fear if something happens.
Right.
It protects you from something that could really be super hurtful and damaging for you. And it's important. So if we pay attention to emotions and we understand immediately what they tell us, we actually start decoding the messages. I like something or I don't like. I was really angry with a colleague or was not angry. And why was I angry with this colleague, or why was I sad, or why was I scared? What this emotion dictates to me. It's a discussion, an inner discussion says you should be careful of this or more dynamic with that. As you understand, this is the pillar of starting having a decision-making process. If we disregard emotions, our decision-making is not the best one for us. And you understand that success, and you know that much better in finances, successful financing is really based on good decision making. So without emotions, you cannot have good decision making. Thus, you cannot have success. You cannot build a sound platform where you can base your success in professional life and personal life and well-being, of course, good quality of life.
Right. When I think about this in terms of and applying it to what I do, and with many of the women that I work with, they're not reaching that full financial potential. So there's something holding them back. So I always refer to it as unconscious barriers, but it's these emotions and behaviors
Yeah.
that are tied to that are preventing them from moving forward. And what I often hear, probably 90% in terms of an initial response when talking about money, is a fear around
Yes.
money.
Yes.
So, so
Yes.
one of
And
the
not
things,
only, yes, fear
yeah,
too.
yeah.
I read in your book, which is amazing, by the
Oh,
way.
thank
Okay.
you.
Read it.
Uh,
If you haven't read it, guys,
uh,
it's
thank
amazing.
you.
And it's what you said, mindset. It has thoughts, and thoughts are formulated by emotions, and you need those things, and they are decisive on how to create the mindset that actually defines the rest of your financial philosophy.
Right. So, in terms of our listeners thinking about, I kind of know the different emotions that I experience if I think about how I'm going to do an interview. I get really fearful and I think I might ask a stupid question. How do they work around that? What's the best way for them to keep those emotions or at least recognize and own that you have these feelings, but then understanding how you can move forward and use that to create a successful interview?
Yeah.
I
An
know that's a
ideal
lot. Sorry.
no, no, it's perfect. It's perfect because in an ideal society, emotional training, emotional education would be the first material to teach children at school at young age. And I've tried something. I had a pilot program about meditation and emotional education for children. And I realized, surprisingly, how they were grasping information. And I was telling them one and they were adding 10 more. And it, it's much easier to teach young children about emotional intelligence. That it's so near them. They do have a vivid and alive emotional muscle. When we get older and all this suppression we have by the shoes and would haves and oat and everything, we start having a thinner um, emotional muscle and we need just to tone it a little bit. So that's why we do all the training. That's what my courses are about, to train people to understand again how to decode emotions. At first, when you listen to it like that, probably the first reaction is, "Gee, that's super difficult, complicated. I'm never going to do it. I will always be frightened, and I will go to my interviews, and I will feeling super scared or super demotivated, or I don't know, feeling that I cannot follow what they say because I don't know, I have attention deficit disorder or whatever." But this is
Right.
not true. What is true is that emotional intelligence is something that it can be taught, it can be trained until the very late years of our life. And this is the magnificent of this. It's not a typical intelligence, maths or processing or whatever. It's emotional intelligence. And we can grow it. We can let it grow. We can cultivate it as long as we decide to do it, whenever we decide to do it.
Right.
So the first thing to do is understand that emotions express themselves through our body because they don't have a shape and they don't have material. So they just express themselves through our body. If we start paying attention about our physical reactions, how
Mm.
typically we get angry, how we typically get sad. When I get angry, I don't know, I get flashed in my head. I have, we say in Greece, we say that I got my blood got up on my head and I got red out of anger. I think these are common phrases in many, many different languages and cultures. And if you start noticing that these actually phrases describe actual physical reactions of emotions, you will start paying attention of your physical reactions every single moment. When you feel a little bit unease, I just split expressly this on purpose, this word. I'm at ease, I'm okay, I'm relaxed. And when I feel uneasy, it means that something bugs me. There is a glitch in my serenity, and let's look at it. So if I start paying attention to that, this gives me an information. And then I start saying, okay, why did I feel such behavior? What was bugging me? And sometimes we try to rationalize and create some beautiful phrases because of this and that. No, it's simple. It's, I got scared. I got really mad. I got angry. I got frustrated. The answer is really simple, really short. And sometimes it's something that a child of 5 years old would have said to us.
Right.
It's our inner child that says that to us. And we
Mhm.
should listen to that child because it always tells us our truth and it will always claim what it is that child's claim and right. So we'd better listen to that child.
Yeah. What I found helpful for myself initially and then with clients, and again, going back to kind of when we were talking about money, and I'll ask what happens when you open a bank statement or you go to your ATM? What physical things are you starting to feel? And I'll hear, oh, I get a headache, or I feel nauseous, or I have a stomach ache. So this is great because, as you say, these are a map telling us you need to pay attention to this. I always tell clients, I know it's challenging, but if you can breathe into that and think about it for about 2 minutes, then the brain switch from being reactive to problem solving. And then it's not as bad. It's like our old prehistoric brain. It was really helpful when we lived in caves and we were going to face a lion coming around the corner. But unfortunately today, it doesn't know. It just knows fear, right? So whether it's relationships or money or job, it's still going to have the same reaction. So, as you say, I think this is so key that if we
It
think
is.
about it, these are a really, really good tool. They are superpowers
Yeah.
that we can use.
And what you said is totally that thing, 2 minutes. That's exactly what you need to decode the message. It's short, it's easy. And what exactly you said is stop reacting. 2 minutes, contemplate or breathe in, breathe out. That's contemplation as well. And that allows your super powerful brain, because it is super powerful. Our brain is super powerful. It has so many fantastic attributes and qualities. And it will start become a problem solver immediately. And it will start, instead of reacting, responding to the situation
Right.
and providing not just one, but probably more than 3 or 4 options for you. Just give it some time
Right.
and give it some oxygen, some air, and some thought, and it will just come to you.
Right. I think that the other thing, and again, just so our listeners know, that Peter also has a book as well and has some great affirmations in there. Just to talk a little bit about positive thinking, because again, I'll use myself as an example. Several years ago, well, why is this happening to me? And
Really?
um, seeing an environment, whether it be meditation or affirmations, I have found a huge difference just in terms of my outlook and how I think about things moving forward, which certainly reduces a lot of stress and gives me a lot more peace of mind and actually helps me when I'm thinking about whether it be my personal life or professional life in terms of moving forward. And certainly I'm much more successful now because of meditation and affirmations and understanding how I might be responding. So do you want to share a little bit about your thoughts on affirmations?
Yeah, I'd love to. And I was working on my affirmations in the morning. I'm doing it every morning. And it's not about a physical thing, it
Right.
has nothing to do with something magic or something that people say that undervalue it, or some people laugh about it. No, since we add and we provide information into our brain, it depends on what kind of information we want to provide for our brain to start creating a thought processing situation. And if we start saying to our brain, I'm not going to make it, this is super difficult. This is a super difficult situation. This is a super dire problem. And today I feel so stressful. I feel that I have no energy. If you start providing this kind of information, well, the computing situation of your brain, and the brain is your super fidel, you know, assistant, and say, oh, the boss, the big boss, that means you, consciousness, want us to suffer. Well, we'll do the best to let the boss suffer. That's what it will provide you as a product. But then, and since all around us, we can easily see this negative products because thoughts come easier. Self-accusation comes easier. Accusing other people comes easier, especially when you walk on the street and you can see other people interacting with each other. What we need to do is counteract all that. And how do you do that? Well, it needs to have a standard routine in order to, keep up the shape of the positive attitude. So choose a specific time of your day. Some people do it once, twice, or three, as long as it takes for them. I prefer to work in the morning, first thing in the morning, after all my morning waking up routine. I take my notebook, paper and pencil. It's better than computing because this movement helps a lot because it helps the sensory motor information enter into the brain. It's a bigger information. So the brain needs it more. And I start writing my affirmations, no matter what they are. So I have written more than 240 different affirmations on my book just because I wanted people to have variety. I've seen you have fantastic affirmations on your book. I really love them. Okay. About finances and abundance, which is super, super nice as well. So what I suggest to people is that they read the information and all those varieties. There are different categories in my book. You have specifically for abundance on your book as well, but it can cover a lot of subjects as well. They just read them. They find out which are those that they resonate with them. And just choose those that they just create just one page and write that page on their notebook. This is mine. And they just every single day write the date and they start writing them again. By the end of, 3 weeks, they will know them by heart and they will just write them down, automatically. But it really is helpful because it tones you up and it gives you, the rhythm of the day. I want to create this and that and that. For example, right now, my affirmations are about goal setting and about what are my goals. And magically, the quotes. This week, I got one of the goals I was writing as an affirmation on my notebook. And I said, oh, wow, is it a miracle? No, it's not, because you just give the information on the brain and the brain starts processing it. And it actually drives you to make specific decision makings through your day and through your weeks that they actually lead you to this outcome. That's why they're so important. They make you feel good. They heighten up your quality of life. They make you feel empowered. And through this level of empowerment, you take other decisions. You are more active. And you need that. It's the way you react and it's the way you respond to other people as well. Through a level of empowerment and not through a level of, weakness.
We have to do things that make us uncomfortable, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And what was interesting, they had the Oscars last night. And I was just watching the beginning where they interview people as they arrive. And there was a young British actress, Chloe Grace Moretz. And the chap interviewing her said, well, how do you know what's a good script? What makes you determine which film you want to do? And she said, if I feel uncomfortable with it, I know it's a challenge and I'm not even sure how I'm going to portray this role. That's when I know it's a good one. So we really have to think about stepping out of our comfort zone, but at the same time, know that there are a lot of tools that we have on superpowers that will allow us to move forward with that.
I would like to add something here with the uncomfortable, because there is a lot of discussion about, go away from your comfort zone. I agree totally. Comfort zone, cozy, and, I'm okay there with my beer, hot dog or whatever. But when we go out from our comfort zone, we need to listen at the same time and calculate our gut feeling. So if it is uncomfortable but positive inside, we like it, we're excited, and we feel that it really tells us it's going to help you move forward, go to a better direction for you. Yes, that's a good uncomfortable. But if it is uncomfortable because I want to prove to other people that I can do it, but it doesn't say anything to me as, evolving my personality or my life. Right. And if my gut feeling says this is super dangerous, that's right. Not a good uncomfortable. So yeah, uncomfortable, but creatively uncomfortable.
Right. No, that's a really good point. Thank you for sharing that. I can't believe we're at the end of our time. Do you have an offer for our listeners today?
Yes. Well, I invite your listeners to have, usually I provide a free coaching session. It's a discovery session to understand what is my work and how I can work with them. But for your audience, there is one more coaching session to create a small short plan of their goals. So 2 coaching sessions of 1 hour, 1-to-1 for your community and your audience.
Wow. Well, thank you. That's great. So I encourage our listeners to take advantage of that, because that's a wonderful offer that will be extremely beneficial and of value to anybody who takes you up on that. Well, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and your expertise. I mean, it's been a pleasure. And I know you're on a number of different platforms, just in terms of where else can our guests find you?
Well, they can find me on Instagram. They can find me on Facebook, Panagiotaki, or Coach Panagiota. That's how you can find me. And you can write down, I think you will write down all the super complicated name I have.
Yes.
The information.
Yes.
And
put all the links in the show notes and your full name. And so our listeners will know where to find you. Well, thank you again,
Susan, for inviting me.
It's my pleasure. And so this Women's History Month, let's take the time to recognize the power of our emotions and how they can be used as a tool for success. It's something we all want to do, right? We want to unlock our true potential, both on a professional and personal level. So I thank you, our listeners, for taking the time to join us today. And I hope that this discussion has been helpful for you. Her Finance Talk is brought to you by the Her Finance Club, where we support financial feminism, which stands for financial inclusion, equity, and equality for women, not only relating to their earnings, but also to building and keeping wealth. And of course, we have several resources to support you on your journey to wealth and abundance, and you will find those links in the show notes. So don't forget to subscribe, because we love your feedback. And if you have a personal finance question that you want answered, you can leave us a voicemail. Until the next time, here's to your financial well-being. And thank you for joining us, everybody. Bye-bye.